Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. The WBOO, that's exactly what's being said right now by Tszyu, is WBOO, because the WBO is not playing around. Y'all see how the secret society works. And, this particular instance, I'm not complaining. Now, Tszyu and Keith Thurman, I fully anticipate an excellent fight. At times, a mashup, crash-up. Other times, Keith Thurman boxing and moving. But Tszyu will be stripped. Okay, what I'm telling you is not my opinion. This is a fact. He will be stripped of the world title if he loses to Keith Thurman. Now, it doesn't take a very intelligent man or woman, right? Let's say a person, to realize that Terence Crawford and the fact that he wants a big fight next, that the WBO is trying to create that avenue where Terence Crawford can immediately insert himself in the mix to face the winner for that WBO strap. Remember, initially, the strap wasn't on the line, and even if Tszyu lost, he retained the WBO belt. And I did a video where I was like, what sense does that make? If Tszyu loses, then Crawford has to face a loser to get the belt. And people are going to look at Crawford crazy because Keith Thurman defeats Tszyu and Crawford doesn't fight him, he fights the loser. None of it makes sense. But obviously, we're thinking along the right lines because the sanctioning bodies and, secret society too, because they're in full effect, they actually probably looked at it and said, hold on, we got to get this right. Because, Terence Crawford is their guy. Terence Crawford has represented the WBO for a long time now, and he's done it in a very, I would say, respectable manner. Has he been a consummate professional? That's opinion. But everyone's going to see it a little differently. But what I will say is he's remained undefeated, and when he got in that ring and they were like the WBO champion, he represented that belt well, and nobody was able to take it from him. But what I will say, there's several articles that are talking about this, and they're talking about Keith Thurman and Tszyu and the showdown and stuff that's supposed to be taking place in Las Vegas. And a guy named Ben Damon, he actually went on record, he was talking to Main Event, and he was just saying that, hey, Tim, it says it's something that Tim wants. That's not what was agreed to. But, they're basically forcing him to give it up if he loses. And I'll be honest with you, I agree that he should give it up. If you lose, you holding on to the belt. That's like when Zab Judah fought Carlos Baldomir. And Zab Judah still kept the belt and went and fought Floyd Mayweather. You're like, how did that shit work? Even Zab Judah did a video talking about Don King was so slimy that Zab lost, but he still kept the title. You see how that corruption shit works? So in this case here, it's good to see that maybe it was going that direction with Tszyu and his WBO strap, but they were able to get in front of it. And in my opinion, they're doing the right thing, but they're also looking at this big picture-wise. They want to make sure that Crawford, if he's going to fight the winner, that belt's on the line. And that's what this boils down to. But some people are seeing this as a shock decision, and it came just days after WBO President Paco Valcarcel also hinted that with the win, that Tszyu could also be catapulted into a huge fight against the undisputed king, Terence Crawford. So it looks like the plan is Crawford against Tszyu. So again, people are just, ruling over Keith Thurman, although Keith Thurman at one time ruled over the welterweight division, but they're just, I guess they just feel it's the inactivity, like what I've been talking about and everybody else has been talking about. The inactivity is just going to be a huge factor in this fight. But I tell you what do you think is a bigger fight? Tszyu versus Crawford or Keith Thurman versus Crawford? Here in the States, Keith Thurman versus Crawford is a huge fight. Everybody knows Crawford, especially if he comes out and he can clip Tszyu. Keith Thurman's name is going to be buzzing big time. He returned, fought at 155 and clipped Tszyu, who's he's just a monster. He's a bull. And for Keith Thurman to come out here and not just beat him, but if he knocks him out, Keith Thurman's back on top. I don't care what you say, because Tim Tszyu is no joke. I've heard a concentric few speak negatively about Tim Tszyu, and the few who's talking negatively about him, everything they say is to troll or for shock value. So what they say doesn't matter to me. But everyone who follows boxing, not just the casuals, I mean diehard and also casuals, they know that Tim Tszyu, he's built a little differently. You look at how he fought last year, them 3 fights, man, and Harrison and the other 2 fights. You know, that shit, what he did wasn't normal. Don't get me wrong. He had a small ring, and that played to his advantage. But to get out there and knock people out like that, that means there's something special about your hands. So when Tim Tszyu put the Aussie Bing Bings on you, you normally don't get out the ring, okay? And that's what people are expecting, for him to put at some point in time in that ring, to put the Aussie Bing Bings on Keith Thurman. And one time it's going to be down and out for the full count. But we just gotta wait and see, because it could be an overwhelming moment for Tim Tszyu, man, being in the Las Vegas lights. Keith Thurman's used to it. Tim Tszyu, not so much. He's used to the lights out there in Australia, but not really in the States. People cheer him on, maybe not. Will he get a huge following, a huge contingency a contingent to follow over to the States from Australia, kind of like Ricky Hatton and the UK fighters do? You know, I don't know. I would think so. So then, you know, he feels more comfortable. But if not, it could be real uncomfortable in there, man, especially if people start booing and acting crazy. But nonetheless, he's been doing this for a while. He's a professional. I think he'll be able to handle it. But bottom line is the WBO's raised the stakes, man, for Tim Tszyu and Keith Thurman. And I think that's exactly what Keith Thurman needed to hear. Needed to hear, man. Talk about being even more motivated. And that's what Keith Thurman needed. Now he's fighting for, he knows there's a title awaiting him. Basically, the WBO title, if Keith Thurman beats Tim Tszyu, he could say the WBO title is his because he beat Tim Tszyu. But they're just not going to give it to him like that because he's been inactive and he wasn't ranked in the sanction bodies. But then he gets to go and fight for it. I mean, it's like Ngannou. He goes out there, people feel he beat Tyson Fury. Ngannou wasn't a boxer. But now he fought Tyson Fury because of his performance. You know, he's ranked, and now look, he's fighting AJ. It's like Keith Thurman, who was a unified champion, but he'd been so inactive. But he comes back. If he clips Tim Tszyu, there's no need for Keith Thurman to get back into a phase of rebuilding and reconstruction, reconstitution. That's stupid. He beat the man. And many people feel is the man. So Keith Thurman goes right into a title shot. So it is what it is, man. But we'll see. Everybody has a lot of respect for Tim Tszyu. Everyone has a lot of respect for Crawford and Keith Thurman. Although some people feel he's been inactive, there's still a lot of respect for him. And the possibilities are just endless with the 2 of these guys fighting. But that being said, let's wait. Let's see how things materialize. But I just got to say, man, WB, because they're trying to push Terence Crawford in position for him to become the WBO champion at 154, and maybe to go on and try to become an undisputed at 154. But that's all easier said than done, because 154 is, you know, that division. It's a little bit different. Guys are bigger, and we just got to see how Terence Crawford fares. That being said, y'all keep cool. I'm in the breeze.